tech enthusiasts and cyber adventurers to the Fifi Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Fifi Show. Today, we are joined with very talented Chetan, who is a great threat hunter. I would let Chetan introduce himself and tell more about him. Hi, Chetan. Welcome to the show.
Hi Shivani, thank you very much for inviting me on this particular call. And I'm pretty much excited about this call, like what pointers we are going to discuss. And thanks for this particular opportunity.
We are glad you are part of it. So, Chetan, would you want to introduce some exciting things about yourself and related to threat hunting? So, how you discovered it, and you have been doing it since so many years. What was the inspiration behind it? Like, how you got into this field?
Sure, definitely. So I'm having around 14 years of experience as of now, and this experience is quite going into, let's say, security research way. I'm always a guy who is going to multiple security research conferences and learning from them. And in my, let's say, spare time also, I always try to learn lots of new things how hackers are doing. So hackers are always a fascinating point for me. How they are doing, how they are, let's say, attacking any infrastructure, how they are gathering infrastructure information, how they are compromising any kind of accounts. So that was the first pointer what I can say. After that, when I have started my first job, it was like I wanted to know about these hackers. So it started from that particular point. And then gradually, when I went to multiple organizations and I have started working on multiple, let's say, challenges. So, for example, if a small town member who is joining any kind of organization and he is learning lots of things, the first parameter will be the curiosity of that particular person. Like, okay, there is a challenge. I have to work on those kind of, let's say, incident handling. I have to work on those kind of security incidents. I have to work on those kind of intelligence where some hackers are doing some malicious stuff. So, in order to complete your curiosity, you have to work day and night. And if you are happy with that particular work, you can achieve that particular task. So that's the whole story what I can say. So I have started working in that particular phase, and it's like curiosity grew up in a large extent over the period of time, like how we used to say in share market, it's a compounding interest. So that's what happened with me. It's a compounding interest in this particular field. So in 2014-15, I was incident handler for some of the big organizations. Then in 2016, I started to work with some software company in which I have started to work on lots of different projects like CXO implementation, then vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, then developing the security operations center. Then back in 2018, I was involved into multiple threat intelligence parameters. So at that time, I have started my first website, hacktointeresting.com. And at that time, the idea was I will distribute the threat intelligence, whatever I'm gathering for multiple threat actors. So this was the first particular pointer. And in that particular website, I have written lots of information about lots of hackers, lots of information. And at that time, I have got very good response from all the, let's say, audiences who are learning about all those parameters. So at that time, I got to know this is one of the field I wanted to work. So in 2018, I joined IBM, and at the time it was like I was one of the threat hunter in that particular team, and I have started to develop lots of let's say in-house methodologies which I am learning at that time. So if any kind of threat actor is there, threat intelligence is there, how we can uh, detect them, what kind of parameters we have to search. So this is the way I started to work on various parameters, and the core pointer was threat intelligence, and the last pointer was how they do attack. and then in between that particular parameter, how I will detect them. So overall, this journey is continuing till now also. Till now also,
Mhm.
I'm curious as hell.
Right.
Every day I used to work on all those parameters.
Absolutely. Chetan, it has been really a fascinating journey for you, investing that much of time and, devising plans, SOPs, and other areas related to threat intelligence. There is one thing that I've always understood in threat intelligence, that knowledge is power. The more information you gather, the more information you are going to get out of it. It's all about data. And when we talk about this, we before we like strategize and we talk about it, we should also understand how the landscape of cyber threat is also changing, because we are
Correct.
putting that effort, we are putting each and every effort in order to gather data, collect data, and then massage the data in order to understand, in order to analyze what is the threat landscape. So what are the current trends, or you might give an overview of like how it has changed from past till now, these emerging threats, and what is it that organizations should be aware of?
Sure. So the first parameter, what I have seen from, let's say, I'm checking from a trend analysis. So from last 3 to 4 years, there is a vast majority of the ransomware actors they have evolved. So if you see threat actors in 2019 and if you see threat actors now, the group has submerged into multiple threat actors. And if I ask from a trend analysis, what are the current threats and what
Mm-hmm.
are the future threats or emerging threats? So current threats, definitely the number one threat will be the ransomware actor, because they have evolved a lot right now. The
Mm-hmm.
second parameter is coming up as supply chain attacks,
Right.
because we have seen, uh, let's say, if I say solar winds compromise as one of the supply
Mm-hmm.
chain attack, that was one of the attack in once in a year you can see. Now
Yeah.
that trend has been changed. Every 2-3 months you will see one supply chain attack is coming up, and that is contributing to lots of let's say damages. The third parameter will be social engineering, because
Right.
now the social attacks are you just do and you just search for my account got
Mm-hmm.
hacked, and you will see lots of
Mm-hmm.
let's say security policies are there, but still the social accounts are getting hacked. And
Right.
the cybercrime is changing a lot right now, because if you say for MFA also, MFA can be bypassed. OTP
Mm-hmm.
also, OTP also can be bypassed. There are lots of threads where you can read about how WhatsApp is leveraging to some of the OTP related threads or some of
Mm-hmm.
the 0 days which are coming up. So these are the old parameters, but they are very strong right now in 2024. Now, what I can see in the last 1 year, what has been changed? The change is there in AI. So emerging threat will be the AIs, and emerging threat will be the cloud related threats, because
Absolutely.
back in 2019 and back in 2024, lots of infrastructure has been moved from on-premise to on-cloud. And same thing, lots of marketing, lots of communication related parameters, they will now change to AI. So recently, what I heard, like Chinese state actors, they are developing some strategy how to create AI-related threats, so which we call
Mm-hmm.
as AI influencers. So they can change the AI influencers also, and there is some threat which came up like they can influence the elections also.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Chinese threat actors, they are influencing the elections from a long time, but now they
Mm-hmm.
will use the AI influencers and AI related bots that can change the scenario in a very vast sense.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward in next 2 years, 3 years, you will not be able to differentiate between who is the real person talking and who is the AI person is talking, because we can we have seen some of the parameters. There is
Right.
some case study that that information can be manipulated,
Right.
because AI is generating all this
Yeah.
information for us, but the input sources, it can be
Yeah.
manipulated. So these
It can.
parameters will be it it can these parameters will come forward in next 2 3 years.
Yeah.
Cloud security will be one of the challenge because there are lots of exposures what we can see in, let's say, in
Mm-hmm.
recent 1 year also. There are lots of case studies came up,
Yeah.
lots of scenarios came up where cloud security was one of the key parameter which got compromised.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be the emerging threat.
Absolutely. You talked about the AI. I remember this incident which was circulating a couple of days back, where uh, an I think an executive level person from a company requested the employee to transfer so and so big amount to his account. And as we are all related to those trainings of phishing and all, and how to be secure, that person thought like, my boss cannot ask me this amount of money. And he said, okay, let's schedule a call and do it. So they scheduled a call. The boss was on the Zoom call. He was also there on the Zoom call, and the bank person was also there on the Zoom call. And the money was transferred. And after that, it was realized that everything was an AI which was presented to him, and he debited like a very large amount of sum from the account. So those are like, the a very scary situation where things repercussions of AI can happen. Everything has good and bad. Like over here, in a day I get like 15 calls from AI, which just talk like a human person. And but after that you can make it out, okay, this is an automated AI call. But 15 to 20 per day AI calls I get over here in US. Just imagine like how AI has been infiltrating. So it is a threat. It is, we can't deny, all is good. Yes, it is good, but there is bad as well in everything. So yeah, that's a point where companies have to be aware of the responsible use of AI. And that's why there are a lot of standards also coming up. There was recent, like, there was a standard on LLM that is coming up. So they are trying to regulate all these things. So that's a good initiative as well. But when we talk about threat intelligence as such, it is always about, what will happen next that we are predicting. But
Hmm.
does this kind of intelligence like empower organization? Like, you will be, maybe in future you will have this particular kind of threat, maybe anticipate and then and mitigate it at a level like before it happens. So kind of strategic initiative from the companies, where they can predict what is going to happen later and implement it now in their infrastructure. So does this help them to do that, and how this whole workaround happens?
Sure. So threat intelligence will give us some kind of directions. Now, there are two parameters to this direction. Whether that threat is happened to your organization in the historical way, let's say if you are going to check for 2 3 months logs, you will find something is there, or it will be going to happen with your organization by next 2 3 months. There will be 2 3 parameters, and this prediction we it will give us the strategical points where we have to focus right now. So for example, if our organization is having 100 plus devices, we can't gather threat intelligence for 100 plus devices and then start hunting on that. It will generate lots of problem and lots of false positives. But right now, let's say if threat intelligence is there, and if we decide like, okay, this could be one of the parameter which is relevant to our organization, this is the particular top 5 devices which can be hampered with this particular intelligence, and now we have to focus on to that. So I will give you one small example. Back in 2000, let's say 23, it was around November. So first remote tool related advisory came up on Screen Connect, that it got some of the problems, and this trend will go on. So at that time, we have focused on this particular tactic. Okay, strategically, we will focus on this particular intelligence, that Screen Connect and other remote tools, they will also get compromised. And after 2 3 months, we have seen AnyDesk also came up with same kind of threat scenario, like okay, we are also having one particular parameter that threat actor was involved into some of the software we have, and they also compromise some of the parameters. So now this is the developing story. Okay, so strategically we have got the intelligence in November, like something is happening to these remote tools. And now if you see the trend analysis we generate, November screen connect, mid around in February any days, then another parameter will be Atera and other tools. So lots of tools will come up. I'm just taking some examples right now just to showcase how threat intelligence will help us to understand. So right now what we are talking in April month, it can happen that in May month some more tool will come up, like okay, this tool is already compromised or it is having some kind of parameters which are malicious. But yeah, it gave us the strategical point of view how the trend analysis can be generated.
So this is like something sits on the infrastructure of an organization and it monitors everything and creates an analysis based on continuous monitoring. If I have to just simplify it, right?
Sure.
And when we talk about gathering of data, because if you are doing a threat intelligence, you need to gather data. So one source would be like monitoring your own company, and then you also need to monitor the external sources as well, because then how are you integrating that threat intelligence into your system? So what can be the reliable sources that organization can look for or opt for, where they can have that kind of intelligence flowing into, and also try to integrate and collaborate with it to make responsible decisions?
Okay, so currently what I can say, threat intelligence, threat feeds,
Hmm.
they are pretty much developed right now, and each and every organization, they will be having their
Mhm.
own threat feeds. So this is a really good source of information because each and every organization which are in the cybersecurity field, they will be having their own research team. They will
Right.
be having their own analyst team who is reading all this intelligence, and they are generating threat intelligence also. So this is the first good source. Second source, what I can say will be the open source intelligence, what I can say. So for
Hmm.
example, Twitter. In Twitter also you can get lots of security researchers who are sharing their information about how threat actors they are looking, how they are doing
Mhm.
some analysis, what kind of CNC servers
Hmm.
are there. So this information also can help you to understand what is actually happening, because definitely this kind of unmapped intelligence which is not
Right.
coming up from any kind of threat feeds. They are just
Hmm.
some kind of security researcher who is doing research on his individual perspective and he's publishing it. So it will give some of the hints.
Mhm.
The third parameter will be uh, the multiple search engines right now.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
back in, let's say, 3 4 years back, Shodan, since they were the de
Mhm.
facto standards. Now you will see there are
Hmm.
at least 10 plus search engines who are sharing lots of information, what kind of threat
Hmm.
actors are available, how their
Hmm.
infrastructure is looking right now. So those are the different parameters. Then the sandboxes. Now sandboxes
Hmm.
also matured a lot.
Yeah.
So to let's say 1 year back, I have understood one strategy of one of the threat actor in the sandboxes, that he was just deploying lots of tools in that particular sandboxes, and every 5 to 10 days he is just doing some changes and deploying it to sandboxes just to check it is detected or not. But if I see the trend analysis of that particular threat actor from let's say 3 4 months time frame, I used to know that how this threat actor is developing that strategy, how they are developing their tools. Okay, one parameter is detected in the sandbox.
Hmm.
Okay, how we can change it to new tactics and whether it is detected in the sandboxes, yes or no. So on that
Hmm.
particular parameters, they will change it. So this kind of
Okay.
things you have to align a lot, and then you have to think a very simple question onto that particular parameter. Every information we have gathered.
Mhm.
Now, why this particular threat actor will compromise or will target to attack this organization? If that pointer is very clear, whether it's a financial motivation, whether it's a disruptive motivation, whether it's some kind of stealing information, whether that organization is having, let's say, some kind of proprietary information. So if that motive, if we try to figure out and if that motive is
Mm-hmm.
clear to us, then we can strategize what can happen in the future.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So while we talked about like OSINT for gathering of information, so we have like other means as well, which are, I am not sure whether they're used or not. I just want to ask out of curiosity. So people talk about dark web and other aspects. Are there chances like people do gather information for intelligence purposes from these sources as well, like dark web or deep web or any code repositories? So, do people gather information from such sources too, if it is required?
Definitely, it will be a helpful information, because what I can say, in dark web, majority of the threat actors, they are initial access brokers.
Mm-hmm.
So what initial access brokers will do,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they will get the information related to multiple breaches. So for example, some organization is having username and password. That information they will get, and they will post onto dark web. Now this
Okay.
information will be sold out to the another clients who are also threat actors. So
Mm-hmm.
at that time, you will know, like, okay, for example, 100 username and password are sold on a dark web. So definitely those 100 username and password, if they are not working, let's say if you take only 1% out of 100, 99% username password, they are just, let's say, died in the
Mm-hmm.
process. They are not working right now, but only one
Right.
username password is working. Then it will start another attack.
Right.
And in our strategy, uh, we always try to compare with 1 is to 99. So
Mm.
99% it's like everything is okay, everything is prevented, but 1% still 1% chance is there
Yeah.
that username password will work.
True. True.
So in darknet, whenever you will get the information, like some threat actor who is selling some information about some
Mm.
username and password, definitely it will lead to some future attacks.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, are there any like frameworks, or I would say like some kind of attacks that people do to in order to identify, like any technique or tactic or any procedure, I would say, in order to analyze like what information is collected from the sources is relevant, and what can be the tools or frameworks that organizations usually use? I don't want to like pick out any particular favorite thing, but just in general we want to discuss like what can be, like I've heard about this uh, MITRE framework. How does this help in threat intelligence? Or maybe you can put on more light to that.
So MITRE framework is a contribution based framework.
Hmm.
So it's a collection of multiple security researchers who are observing all these threat actors from a long time. So
Okay.
for example, if I take just a random number, it's not accurate. Let's
Hmm.
say currently MITRE framework is having 400 plus contributors. So these 400 plus contributors, each contributor have worked on one or two APT groups, nation state actors, and they have understood their CNC servers and their
Hmm.
infrastructure, how they will compromise other accounts. And that
Hmm.
knowledge base they have shared with MITRE. So
Okay.
now, when we are reading about, let's say, any threat actor, we will
Hmm.
be reading about that contribution from that particular security research. And it will give us the historical way of analysis, how that threat
Hmm.
actor is working. So for example, threat actor is working on some of the parameters in 2021.
Right.
Definitely it will not be working in 2024. So for example, mimikatz, everyone know
Hmm.
about mimikatz, but mimikatz was new in 2021 or 2020.
Hmm.
Now it's a known threat, everyone can block it. Every security vendor, every analyst,
Hmm.
they know about mimikatz. So now threat actors has to go to next tool. They have to change something, or they have to change some behavior in the Mimikatz, how it executes, so that it will not be detected. So
Right.
Bitray framework, when we discuss about this framework, it will be two, three parameters. It will
Mm-hmm.
be IOA based and IOB based. So indicators of attacks and indicators of behaviors.
Okay.
So Mitre will give us lots of good information about indicators of attack, how that threat actor
Mm-hmm.
will behave, or how that threat actor behaved in a history. It can be
Mm-hmm.
like now in the current sense, he might change some scenarios because their experience is like, okay, some of the tools are getting blocked now. Now
Mm-hmm.
we have to change some scenarios, we have to change some tactic. So this
Right.
is the way Mitre will work. So they will update their framework.
Mm-hmm.
So last update what I have seen is
Mm-hmm.
6 to 7 months back.
Mm-hmm.
So there are versions what they are sharing, and every version they will share new attacks which are coming from
Right.
contributors.
So you talked about indicators of compromise. Like, what does that mean? Like indicators of compromise, and just to shed more light on it, how you can effectively identify like this is an IOC. So if you can let us know about that part.
So generally, whenever any threat actor, they will try to start one campaign. For example, they will decide like, okay, we will
Hmm.
start one campaign and we will compromise this particular
Hmm.
technology, this
Hmm.
particular organizations.
Hmm.
So at that time, what they will
Hmm.
do,
Hmm.
generally they will set up one server. For example, it will be on cloud, and this is a infrastructure of multiple servers.
Okay.
And these servers will have some of the malicious tools. So let's say Mimikatz is available there, POSH2 is available
Hmm.
there, then Lasagna is available there. And if you wanted to do multiple, let's say malicious activities remotely,
Hmm.
then some of their own tool which they have prepared. So these kind of tools will be available, and from that particular IP address, these attacks
Hmm.
will originate.
Okay.
These attacks will be there for some time. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
uh, I can say for 7 to 8 days. It depends upon threat actors' activity or their
Mm-hmm.
motivation. They can do this attack in one day also, or they
Hmm.
can take some longer
Hmm.
time. So during
Hmm.
that time, that IP address will be associated, and
Okay.
these IP addresses, these hashes, these URLs, these domain names or DNS entries, these
Every
will be
aspect of that will be highlighted.
every aspect
Yes.
of it will be contributing
Hmm.
to indicators
Hmm.
of compromise.
Okay.
And once it is discovered, like, okay, some kind of campaign or threat actor is
Hmm.
discovered by some of the security researcher team or any kind of organization, they will publish this information for a larger organizations or larger audience, that you
Hmm.
also go and check this kind of uh, IOCs, whether they are
Hmm.
matching with any kind of security tools monitoring you have. So these
Okay.
IOCs, if let's say getting matched, then it can be a chance that this tool set or this threat actors can be
Hmm.
attributed to your organization also.
Okay. So, as it is an important part, I must believe like organization might be having some kind of tracking mechanisms for this because they might be helpful in building out or to analyze some kind of trends based on these IOCs too.
Correct.
Right. Right. So, whenever we talk about threat intelligence, I've always heard about malware, malware analysis, or is it a part of this whole framework, or is it like independently studied? Like how they both intermingle with each other?
So malware analysis is like, so I will just give you one example, small example. Let's say during our security research, we identified one CNC server.
Hmm.
Let's say that server is having multiple EXEs available, and at that time we don't know how that EXEs are compiled, for what parameters, what kind of motivations these EXEs are compiled, because these are customized ones. So at that time, we have to go through this EXE, we have to do some static analysis, If dynamic analysis can give us that information, well and good. But if some parameters are there which are obfuscated, or some parameters change by threat actors, or which are new techniques or tactics, so at that time the static analysis has to conduct, and that analysis will give us the information. Let's say when we say malware analysis, it will give us the information like, yes, this is a new tactic, this is a
Yeah.
new kind of methodology this attacker are using, and now it's not known to,
Hmm.
let's say, multiple security vendors who are creating signatures from these parameters. So this signature will be a new signature, this tactic will be a new tactic which needs to add it to multiple security vendors.
Right.
So that's why the let's say malware analysis and threat intelligence, they both go hand in hand when there is a new attacks is emerging.
Absolutely. And I think same goes for the vulnerabilities, those CVEs that are generated, because everything is like one whole big interconnected field. Because you do a trend analysis, you find something, you analyze it, and then you also do your vulnerability research, about the CVEs and what are coming up new. So it's a
Correct.
whole lot of interesting field if someone wants to get into, and lot of hard work and research also goes into it. And
Correct.
along with that, I've also seen, like, collaboration between some sectors, like, a government entity and a normal organization. I have seen, like, people also falling, like, during like, as we do some audit and compliances, I have seen, like, organizations fetching information from a government body, like a collaboration, in order to research their work. So I think those kind of activities are very important, and I think paramount in identifying, like, what a threat is. So how do you feel, like, this information sharing and collaboration will help in strengthening the defenses? Because uh, this is like fetching information from different sources, and also government also helping and enabling people to fetch data from them as well.
So definitely collaboration is
Yeah.
the key in threat intelligence.
Right.
So let's say if we are looking at one threat actor from one government organization perspective
Hmm.
and how it is trying to do some harm, and if we collaborate, let's say if government also collaborate and if our organizations also collaborate, definitely that intelligence will be going in enhanced way. It will be an improvement to that particular cycle. So collaboration is the key, what I can say right now, and definitely it will be very helpful.
Absolutely. And like, building a resilient defense, if I have to say, like, how can an organization invest, or maybe how can organization leverage this threat intelligence part to build a very robust infrastructure from themselves? Because not each and every company invests in threat intelligence, but how can they be motivated to invest in this particular segment so that they can, strengthen their defenses?
Definitely. So right now, if we wanted to strengthen the defenses, so it will be like currently lots of open source information is also available, along with the security organizations who are giving all these threat feeds. That is also available. But along that, if you wanted to build a threat intelligence program for your organization, then it will be very important to first understand the prioritization. It will not be like each and every threat intelligence will be applicable to your organization, because each and
Hmm.
every, let's say, tool set which is available
Hmm.
or which is getting impacted by current threat actors, they might not be available in your organizations. So
Right.
first thing, prioritize what kind of tool set your organization is having. Then the very important point, why these tool sets will be attacked.
Yeah.
So that parameter will be very important. According to that, if that particular answer is coming up like, yes, these out of this 100 tool set what I have, these 10 tools are there which can be, let's say, attacked by threat actors, because let's say they are having some kind of user information. They are sharing
Hmm.
some kind of financial. They are having some financial databases, so for which threat actors will come up. Uh, these are some of the security perimeter devices which are very critical for us. So definitely for those particular tool set, we require threat
Hmm.
intelligence.
Hmm.
Now, threat intelligence, when we consume it on a daily basis or on a monthly basis, how we can act on it. So that
Hmm.
information is very valuable. We have decided the strategy, but now that
Hmm.
strategy, how we can make into act phase, because intelligence will give us the strategy. Like some attack
Right.
happened in some other place, it can happen to you also.
Hmm.
That is the way of saying. But now, if this attack is happening to us, what will be our
Hmm.
strategy? How we will back up our system? How we'll
Hmm.
patch our system? What kind of vulnerability management cycle we should have? So it will give lots of proactive approaches to those organizations. And definitely it can be achieved in open source way also, but it will take lots of efforts and
Hmm.
lots of improvements will be there, lots of cycles will be there. So definitely it can be achievable part.
Absolutely. And do you think like organization of any size can invest in this threat intelligence, or is it only for large enterprises?
Definitely I can say that it's not only for large organizations
Hmm.
nowadays. We can say if we have a team, let's say one or two members also, they can also have this capability that they can deploy it, because
Okay.
right now lots of tools are open source,
Hmm.
and that information we can get only the degree of the impact.
Hmm.
It will be little bit less or more, but it will be depending on how you fine tune that particular solution.
Right.
So now
Right.
if we say that out of let's say strategical way, if a small organization, medium based organization also wanted to implement threat intelligence, they can do it.
That's good to know because uh, most of the processes, tools, or any kind of technology development mostly focus on large and enterprises. There are very few who cater to small and medium sized businesses. So that is what we want to understand, like, is this framework something that everyone can implement into the system? Beautifully explained, Chetan. So
Thank you.
as a closing note, do you want to say or contribute anything, how people can be secured or how threat intelligence can be part of their daily security activity? So any closing notes on that front?
Closing notes will be always like the curiosity part, because
Yeah.
that is the crux of threat intelligence. Try to understand about that threat actor and try to understand about motivation of that particular threat actor, because whenever we say that there is some exploit, there is some 0 day, something is happening, or some kind of bad code is there, it's like a very simple person who is sitting behind that particular screen,
Hmm.
and he is motivated with some kind of curious questions, like he wanted to break that system or he wanted to try to do some exploitation on that particular system. So try to understand the motivation why this particular threat actor is trying to do harm to that particular
Yeah.
organization or that particular tool set or that application. If we can manage that particular question and answer session, threat intelligence will be a fun, what I can say.
Mhm. Beautifully put together, Chetan. And I think our listeners will also get some kind of visibility on threat intelligence, though we barely touch the surface, because I know it will be much more than what we spoke about today, and it cannot be covered in just 1 hour session. Uh, and thank you for contributing your knowledge to us and being a wonderful guest on our podcast. So, for everyone, stay tuned for another exciting episodes on the Fifi Show, and like and subscribe to our channel as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shivani, for this particular opportunity.